Alright, and this one I wanted to cover why it seems everyone's stopped drinking in our day and age. And it's a very simple reason that the world is too competitive to fall behind. Now, let me explain this. If you're not willing to compete and sacrifice to be on the level that others are competing at, you will simply fall behind. This is why I get worried with the Neuralink. Can you imagine? Someone puts this Neuralink and all of a sudden you think as quick as ChatGPT, you all of a sudden know everything there is to know about being a lawyer, everything there is to know about being a surgeon, everything there is to know about accounting, trading, everything you can imagine at your fingertips, boom. Let's say you refuse to get the implant. How are you going to compete with the people that do? You're simply not. You're simply going to fall to the wayside and get left behind and be working, picking up rocks and shit, because you will simply not be able to outcompete these people. And that's why people have stopped drinking. Because when one youngster does it, and he's ripped to shreds, healthy, killing it in business, we all have to. Because we're now competing with him. He's now set the bar. That's the level we're all at now. If you want to continue drinking, continue fucking around, you're now not only at a less level than him, but you're a less level than the standard as well. You've fallen way behind. You've missed the mark. You're now not even a competitor in this game of life. And that's when it comes back to this concept of what are you prepared to sacrifice for the better life, for the success, for this life you're chasing. Because everything in life demands sacrifice. Even heaven demands death. There's always got to be an exchange given there. So remember that when you want this big life, when you have all these big dreams, aspirations, it's not for free, my friend. It comes at a cost. And that cost can sometimes be relationships. It's your mental health. It's going to cost you your mental health. The stress that comes with all this shit. The negative feedback. You know, that constant feeling of I'm not doing enough, I'm not enough. That's something you're going to have to face and something you're going to have to fight with. That's life. And that's what comes with all this competition. You have to decide what you're willing to give up in order to become the man of your dreams or the woman of your dreams, whatever that may be. Because nothing's for free. And the person you become, who is able to cut those people off and cut those things off, you end up being a bit heartless. I guarantee you there's no one who's ultra successful who doesn't have that heartless streak in them. Purely because you would just get blown off course too easily. There's too many distractions. You know, there's too many niceties that can draw you back. If you're not heartless, it's going to fuck you in the long run. Think about it. Think how many people have had to work late on their business with a wife and some kids, newborn kids. Let me give you the example of my family. And this is why picking a wife is so important. I currently don't have a wife. I'm talking about my mother and father. My mother and father moved from the UK to Australia with no previous experience here, not knowing anyone, with 3 kids. Dad had to start a business, which was an hour away from our current location when we were living. Now, looking back on that situation in hindsight, Dad, I have so much respect for that man. What he was able to do in that period of time, when your back is literally against the wall, you're in a new country, you're starting a new business which you have no experience in, you've got 3 kids and a wife, an hour away in a different location, you're doing 2 hours of commuting every day, you're trying to figure this shit out on the fly. That was his life, and I have the utmost respect for that man and what he was able to do and the sacrifices that he made. Now, if my mum wasn't the amazing woman she is, and what some of these other chicks would be doing is nagging Dad, going, oh, no, where are you? You're not coming home on time. You said you'd cook us a lasagna tonight. Like all that bullshit. Mum was here supporting us. looking after, saying, look, hombre, home situation is looked after. You go out there and you hustle. So fortunately, he didn't have to sacrifice his home life. But he did have to sacrifice his social life to an extent. Like, that business was his life. That commute was his life. Because this thing had to work. His back was against the wall. And what you'll find, what I found from the people I've worked with, the people I've met, no one's done it easy. No one's done it easy. It's been an uphill battle. And it's been a lot of setbacks, a lot of back and forth. There's been scams. There's been people firing people. There's been theft. There's always things you got to account for. So it comes back to that question: what are you willing to sacrifice? How far are you willing to go? In the early days, it's almost bare minimum that you're going to lose friends. When you're reinventing yourself, crafting that new identity, you're going to have to lose friends. You almost always are going to lose those friends. Are you prepared to do that? Are you prepared to have no friends for a little while? You prepared to pick up your phone and go, no one's messaged me for 2 weeks? Are you prepared to be in that situation? I haven't been on a date in a month working on this business. Are you prepared to be that person? These are things you got to ask yourself. And now it's a bit doom and gloom, but it's the reality. You do need to be heartless. Let's say you're recently dating a new girl, whatever, something's come up, she wants you to go here, wants a date, you plan this, it's her birthday, but there's an investment opportunity coming up. So instead of taking her to Bali, you've gone, can it, I'm putting this in F, for example, back in the day, Solana, whatever it was, putting it in an index fund, putting it in this new business. Sorry, love, it's not the right time. Now, look, she shouldn't throw the toys out the cot in that situation, but if she does, you've now just lost a relationship. Could have gone on for 2 years, overnight like that. It's going to make you heartless. And if you're not, you end up in Bali and the business suffers. There's a book called How to Get Rich by Felix Dennis. I learned about this book by James Blackwell. Really respect that guy. And something that Felix Dennis talks about is, if you can do it now, don't prolong it. Get it done now. Do not go on the holiday when there's business to be done. He said holidays are always going to be secondary to the mission. And a particular example he used was, he was in the publishing, the newspaper business. There was a competitor talking to this middle guy, publisher, about buying his company out. Whatever, negotiations were going really well. He had a trip to, let's say, Maldives for a week. Now he's gone, oh, do you know what? Yeah, all good. I'm just going on this trip. I'll sign it when I get back. By the time he got back, Felix had jumped on it and said, hey, look, I'm not the type of guy who's going to go on holidays for a week and leave you hanging, leave you out to dry. Your business is safer and better with me. Done. Boom. Contract signed. He won the business, which ended up costing the other guy many, many millions. Think about how many Maldives trips that is. If there's an opportunity that arises, take it. Sacrifice the niceties, the pleasures that you maybe had previously booked, and maybe even those relationships if it comes to it. Well, this is all depending on how far you want to go, how far you want to push it. And that's why it's so important to know who you are and where you want to end up. That's your compass. When you come to a fork in the road, go, is this aligned with the person I want to become? Or is it a step in the other direction? Remember that. And now also, going back to the whole competition element, if you do wish to compete in the big leagues at the top of the game, you have to identify what your competitors are doing, and you have to be willing to do the same thing. If you find an area where you can just straight outcompete your competitors, then you will win. Find your unfair advantage. What's something you can do that others can't? Are you the type of person who can just stick at something get no results, but just hammer through it? Are you the type of person who can work late in the office while your chick's yelling in your ear and just not bat an eyelid? Go, all right, do your thing. I'm busy. Because that's what it's going to require. It's going to take that degree of heartlessness to achieve anything. To achieve anything and to prioritize yourself in that time. You need to be ruthless. Learn how to be ruthless. It's going to save you in life. There's too many people who try to please everyone. And I see it. If you try to please everyone, they're going to end up asking you favors. Hey, can you do this? Can you drop off my cat? Mr. Fuzzles, he needs a waxing. Whatever, cat language. Yeah. But be someone, look, if you value your time, other people are going to value yours. People treat you the way you treat yourself. So if people know you're a savage and your time means a lot to you, they'll respect it. They won't demand it from you because they know they can't get it. And set that precedent. Let people know that you will sacrifice them for the greater good, for your goals. Now, not in an awful way, but you need to be honest with people because that's the truth. And a lot of the times people respect you more for that. If you can be open, upfront and honest about, hey, maybe take a relationship, for example. Look, I'm building myself right now. This is what needs to be done. I need to look after numero uno. And if they're not willing to accept that, well, then you know that they're not the one for you. It's something that I say to people, my girl, look, every chick's going to want the bag. Every girl wants the Gucci. Every girl wants the Louis Vuitton. You're going to run into this at some point. Now, I'm not going to buy bags at this stage in my career. I'm building. That $2,000, $3,000, whatever it costs, can be going back into myself, back into the business. Whatever investment I have at the time. This is not the time to be wasting money on frivolous shit like that. And if they really press you, you say, look, are you a girlfriend or are you a wife? Because I'm going to buy bags for my wife, but I'm not going to buy bags for a girlfriend. If you're going to stick it out till then, you're going to be rewarded. But right now I'm building. My priority is me. I come first. Because at the end of the day, if you don't pull it off, you're fucked. You're the only person who can make this work. It's all down to you. No one else is trying to get you paid. No one else wants to cover your rent. Life is really a solo sport in that sense. You know, all of a sudden you do drugs, you crash your car. No one's coming to help you. No one feels sorry for you. And that's just the game we're playing. That's the world we're in. The world's heartless, so if you're not heartless, you're going to be eaten up, especially in the early days. So look after yourself, prioritize yourself first, and just make sure you're staying on the right track. Make sure you're staying competitive, because that's what it's going to take. Decide who you want to become, what you're willing to sacrifice, and just get playing that game of life. Cheers, gents.